out here in beautiful California and I have time for making videos, I'm going to make a couple more book reviews because me being me, I finished all the books that I brought with me on vacation, so I really desperately need something to read. So I'm going to start with The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. So obviously The Hobbit is something of a classic, at least in fantasy worlds, because anything by Tolkien is sort of a classic in fantasy worlds. Now The Hobbit is the story of Bilbo Baggins, who lives a kind of quiet life down at Bag End in Hobbiton, and suddenly Gandalf arrives and decides that he is taking him on an adventure with all of these dwarves. So Bilbo isn't exactly the adventurous sort. He doesn't really want to go on this adventure, but he gets talked into it and winds up going all the way to the Lonely Mountain with these dwarves to help them reclaim their home. So yeah, this is sort of a prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I'm sure, obviously, a lot of people have seen that the movies have been coming out to go with The Hobbit. They made the Lord of the Rings ones back in the 2000s. The first one coming out in 2001, same year as the first Harry Potter film. Fun facts. But that's my nerdiness coming through again, so I'm not gonna continue with that one. I'm just gonna move right back to the book. But so yeah, this is a prequel. This is set 60 years before the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy takes place, and that would be the Fellowship of the Ring. And basically, Bilbo is Frodo's uncle, and Frodo, of course, is the main hobbit in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I thought this was a really good book, actually. I expected it to be a more difficult read than it was. I actually found it pretty quick and easy to go through. I mean, I did it in one morning. I lent it to my little cousin. He's about 10 or 11 recently, and he read it just fine on his own. I have read it before this most recent time. My parents read it to me when I was little. It was like a bedtime story. We read like a chapter a night or whatever for a long time when I was little, because it took us a while. I mean, I don't know, there's a few chapters. I'm not sure how many, just a few, like 20 something maybe. But no, I would recommend this if you like a good adventure story, or if you're a fan of Tolkien. Obviously, if you haven't read The Hobbit, you need to read The Hobbit, because The Hobbit is kind of essential Tolkien. But if you like Game of Thrones, for instance, Tolkien and J.R.R. Martin are very similar in their signs, in their styles, I mean, and they both have the RR going on for them. I don't know if that's a real connection between them, but it kind of is. So yeah, this is a really good book, and I would recommend it if you like fantasy. If you liked the Hobbit movie, although the movie is very different from the book because the movie has more in it than the book does. The movie includes some stuff from the appendices and also a little bit of stuff that's made up, although not too much. It's mostly Tolkien's appendices. But yeah, so if you like the movie, if you enjoyed The Lord of the Rings, if you're a Tolkien fan, if you're a Martin fan, if you like a good adventure or you like a good sci-fi fantasy, read The Hobbit. It was really good. And you could probably read it to like a 10 or 11-year-old and they would like it too. So yeah, I would give this book a 4 or 5 star rating out of 5. Not as good as Pride and Prejudice, of course, but they're in completely different categories. But no, I really enjoyed this one, and I would definitely read it for a 3rd or 4th time.